All right, this is Roger Martin from Billings, Montana, and we're doing a third part on Nikki Haley uh, and Glenn Beck. There's so many interesting tidbits in this that I just think it is well worth its time. Here goes.
So, how alone is he?
I mean, I think he's got good people around him. I think that he just needs to be told the truth. And in the book, I talk about my relationship with him and how he was just so willing to listen. And he needs people to do for him what I did, but also what I expected my cabinet to do for me when I was governor, which was be creative, serve the people, and if you see me taking a wrong path, say something. And, you know, the president's not rigid. He's not closed-minded. He will listen to anyone that has any issues. I don't know the scenario now that I am gone, and certainly there have been a couple of other changes. But, you know, I encourage all those people in his circle to just keep protecting him and moving forward on his policy issues and keep speaking up on what they see.
I will tell you, I've never said this before. I've never told this story, but about 8 months ago, the president called me, and I was getting ready to do a TV show, and my assistant came in and said, "Glenn, the president is on the phone for you." And I said, "The president of what?" And they said, "The United States." And I said, "What?" I didn't know what to do, and I was like, "Tell him I'm doing a show. I gotta be live here in a second. I'll call him back." I call him back, and he says, "Hey, I just want to thank you for pointing out, this and this." And I started to say, I don't know if you know this, but before you were elected, and he went, "Oh, I'm very well aware." And I said, no, not that part. I know you're aware of that. But what I said was, I will support your policies if I think they're right. And I will point out policies if I think they're wrong. And he said, "I think that's great." And I said, and I have to tell you, I think you're great on this and this and this. And he said, "And what is it you disagree with?" He spent 25 minutes. We still didn't agree at the end, but he spent 25 minutes on the phone with me, all of it in disagreement.
Yep.
And he listened. Didn't mean he changed anything, but the man is not who people think that he is.
Again, Trump is Trump, and I think he's raised up for what he's doing. He's cleaning the swamp. He's doing an impossible job that no one else has tried to do. He listens. He works with people. He cleans shop, but he's a businessman. And you get his ire up and you get his back against the wall, and you're going to regret that you did. And that's where he's been pushed for these last 3 years, and will be pushed this next year as well. But this is going to be a turning year for him and his future 4 years, 5 years. It's going to be a turning point. What to do after Trump leaves, I don't know. But the White Hats say there are things in store, and I think there are. I hope there are, because there's so much work that needs to be done. We need a young Trump, too, to get in there and do another 8 years.
He's not. I had a great working professional relationship with him, and I think that anybody that works for him can't say that he wasn't listening and he wasn't, that there wasn't an ability to change his mind on things.
Back with more Nikki Haley in a second. Let me tell you about RecTech. RecTech is a grill that will change your life. And I know that's a bold claim, but let me tell you how. It is a smart grill, has smart grill technology, and you will become an expert griller the very first time you use it. RecTech is a different type of grill entirely. This is going to, I'm telling you, every grill is going to be like RecTech in the future. It looks like your dad's grill, but it is light years ahead. Great grilling is about temperature control, and RecTech grills allow you unrivaled precision control. You can do it over your phone. You can start it over your phone. You can check the temperature. I mean, it's amazing. I met with the owners of RecTech recently, They're really, really good people. They are grillers themselves, and so they wanted to build a grill that was rock solid, and I am telling you, they are rock solid. Their main competitor, the closest comparison to them, they're 80 pounds lighter than the RecTech grill. I don't know about you, but I'm not lifting my grill up all the time. That just should tell you how much steel is in this, how good and how well built this is. RecTech has old school customer service. Everyone that buys a grill gets the owner's personal cell phone number and access to a team of expert grillers as well. It's the RecTech family, has hundreds of thousands of followers on social media. You're going to be joining a community of grillers that love sharing their recipes and living the RecTech lifestyle. A great family Christmas present. Go to RecTech Grills, their website, and find them on social media. See what people are saying about the grill. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Do your research. People who want the best choose RecTech. RecTech, built by grillers for grillers. RecTechGrills.com. That's RecTech Grills.com. When you first dealt with the resolution against Israel at the UN, you were pretty clear, and it started this roll down the hill. And you write in the book that you reached out to Samantha Power. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much you know about Samantha Power, but she was discovered by Soros, and she's got a very anti-Israel kind of stance. What were you looking for from her? What was happening?
She actually was very good to me when I was appointed. I mean, she immediately reached out, said, let me help you. She helped, whether it was, talking to me about the staff I was going to need. She left me a book about which ambassadors were there, the countries, how they handled things. I mean, she really was very gracious.
That's nice.
But when resolution, it was 2334, it was basically an anti-Israeli resolution was happening. It was happening in December before President Obama left. And I tried to call her because I didn't understand why they would do this. I mean, Israel is a bright spot in a really tough neighborhood.
I know.
And the U.S. has always protected them from resolutions at the UN by using our veto. And I ended up talking to the Israeli ambassador once I got to the UN. He said he tried to call her multiple times and she wouldn't call him back. And he found out from other countries that this resolution was coming down and that the U.S. led it. That's what's so bad, is the United States led an anti-Israel resolution at the United Nations in a time where we should have had their back. And so
that last administration was the most anti-Israel I think we've had in I don't know how long, and I think we followed it with Truman.
But to let it happen at the last hour,
yeah,
that was what was so bad. Yeah. The president had been elected at this point. This was in the last month, and let that happen. And so I was offended, and I think it's really important. The United States should always have the backs of our friends, always.
When you came in, you said, you're for us or against it, whatever, but we're taking names.
Yes.
Thank you. Everybody said that was a bully move, et cetera, et cetera. What is it about our side that even our side, with Ukraine, don't worry about that money that we lost. I'm sure it's fine. And what is wrong with us?
Look, I mean, I think this is it. For me, it was important that when I went in, I didn't care if countries liked us or not. What I wanted was to make sure they knew what the United States was for and what the United States was against. And I didn't want any gray areas. And at the same time, I let them know we were going to be taking names of those that were with us and taking names of those that were against us. Mm-hmm. And I thought they needed to know that we were going to have a strong voice in America again. And that we were going to make sure that they knew we were in the room.
True, the Security Council, some members came to and said, it's good to have America back.
After the president did the strikes in Syria, after the chemical weapons attack, when that red line was drawn and he followed through with it, the number of ambassadors that came to me and said, it's so good to see the United States lead again. Because while they resent us, while they bash us, they all still want to be us. And they want our moral clarity to lead. They don't want to follow China. They don't want to follow Russia. They still want to follow the United States' lead.
The world is becoming a very scary place. China is a frightening
Number
enemy.
one threat we have is China.
And not number one threat just to America, but to all human beings. It is a very scary with their surveillance, with their camps that are coming and
I mean,
they're
if
building.
you just look at the map of all the places that they have invested,
Right.
and we saw at the UN where they would go and bully those countries and say, you better vote with us. But
China has some serious upcomings. I don't know what we're going to do with China and how it's going to be handled, but China has some very serious problems. Unfortunately, there are severe consequences. I think China is going to be the major threat in the possible future Third World War. Not Russia, but China. And Russia's going to have to decide what they're going to do with the communist threat out of China. I hope Russia sides with us. They very well may. I hope Russia doesn't side with China, because if they do, we're in trouble. We're in trouble.
look at the map at all the places they've invested. Look at how they're running up the debt. Now look at the map and imagine China saying, I want your port. I want to put a military installation. Then you looking at that map, it will send a chill up your spine.
Look at the map of the United States and see what they've done.
But recently, what's really important, President Xi started a committee. And this committee, he chairs it. And it says any business that, any company that does business in China now has to cooperate with the Chinese military. So think about our tech companies. Think about the data they have on all of us and how the Chinese military now have access to it. That matters. That matters.
Big time. Big time. Let me switch to Russia for a second.
They will never be our friend. They will never be our friend, and they can never be trusted.
What, you mean the people who throw journalists out windows? They're not trustworthy? Donald Trump is being made to look like a Russian asset. They call him that.
Yep.
Except the last administration had a reset button. And even George Bush said, I looked into Putin's eyes and he was great. I mean, this guy, he might say nice things. And I think it's because they say nice things about him. So he'll say nice things about them. But if you look at his policies, I think he's the most devastating on Russia since Reagan.
If you look, he is, and I talk about this in the book, he's soft on his words, he's strong on his actions. And he's the reason that he is like that, and the reason it's controversial that he does that with Putin or with Kim or with Xi, is because he has a way of disarming them. And I've watched it work. So what he does is many times he's talking to them in the camera, knowing they're watching and listening in hopes of getting something done. With Russia, look, I saw, and I talk about in the book where I had a...
Now, you talk about Trump working with these two nations. Interesting. Trump is such a freaking genius in some areas.
conversation with him where I thought he was soft on Russia in his words, but in his actions, put more sanctions for their occupation in Crimea, gave anti-tank missiles to Ukraine, helped with military training, increasing our energy sector and our military, which Russia can't stand, expelled multiple diplomats. I mean, he has hit Russia over the head
Where it
so
counts.
many times.
Yeah. So I think he also sees these dictators because he's a very black and white person. He is a crime guy. He is a harsh punishment crime guy. And, I know that he spoke to President Xi and Duarte, and part of him is like, they don't have a drug problem there. Yeah, because they shoot them in the head without a trial. And I'm not suggesting that he wants to do that, But he does admire people who just get it done. And he can speak their language in a way. He can,
You're going to see with the trade deal with China, you're going to see that he's going to get the trade deal done. And the reason he's going to get it done is because President Xi has to do this for his constituency.
Right.
President Trump has to do it for his constituency. But more than that, they both like each other. And because they both like each other, there is a political will to get it
Correct.
done. So he
kind
does
of the Gorbachev-Reagan
he
thing.
does this game, but it's all in the name of getting things done. I've watched it happen multiple times.
When you look at,
I'm going to end it here. This is very interesting. You don't get this in-depth study and intercourse and conversation too often on the major news networks. And this is a real problem with the media and their editors and their agendas. Say what you want. You may not like Nikki Haley, but I appreciate Glenn Beck's candor and honesty at addressing things that a lot of these news people do not. But it's obviously he's got a great following and other things. This is part 3. I'll do a final segment on the last 12 minutes. And we'll go from there. This is Roger Mark from Billings, Montana. This is part 3 between Nikki Haley and Glenn Beck. Support the grills that he talks about for about 2 or 3 minutes. Support Blaze TV, and we'll go from there. Good day.